Okay, so hi, Miché here from the Spoonbenders Cafe, and welcome. I think this is webinar number 4 in an ongoing, maybe endless series of teaching people how to bend spoons and bend your life. So thank you all for joining me in the moment and in whatever moment this also is when you're watching it. It's all one big moment that they say, but I don't really get that. I believe them, but I don't get it. Okay, so let's see. Some of you have bent spoons so far, and some of you have not. And let's see where to start. Well, I guess I'll just say again that why I really love teaching spoon bending to people is because, besides it's fun and something that you can, sort of bring up in any awkward moment of conversation. Once you've bent a spoon, you could just say, hey, I bent a spoon, or have you ever bent a spoon, or something like that. And it's probably people will say, no, I never have, but sometimes they actually, okay. So just a little, I digress, a little story. I was sharing about the spoon bending in a group because I was actually wanting to get feedback for something on my website. And I'm a member of about 40 different groups, but for some reason in that moment, I happened to choose this one group to make the post in. And about 10 minutes later, I get an answer, and the woman says, she checked out what I asked and responded to it. And she says, oh, by the way, I was trained by one of Uri Geller's best friends in spoon bending. Although she said she didn't ever actually manage to bend a spoon. But I thought, okay, so you didn't bend a spoon, but here we came together. Like, what are the odds, right? I mean, really, how many people do I possibly know who have ever been trained by someone who was trained by Uri Geller? It just really, I loved it. It was just one of those like winks from the universe, It was like, haha, things are going good and you're making the right moves even when you have no idea what you're doing. So that was fun. And that's actually part of the spoon bending state of mind or mentality for me, is that we're just spoon bending is about just being in the moment and allowing, of choosing something to happen, of wanting something to happen, but also of letting it go, and then allowing the co-creation with the universe, allowing the other forces and other people and other energies to step in and play together. And so it seems to me that the more that I focus on that and the more I'm paying attention to that in my life, the more I'm also seeing that showing up. Partly because I think it was always showing up, but we don't necessarily get it. We don't notice it. We don't track it. And so that as you're doing this or anything else where you're being more mindful and looking for those sort of significant events, you're noticing them more. They're not just, going past or just, off in your peripheral vision. You're really focusing on what's happening. And I also think the whole law of attraction thing, that as you're putting your attention there, you're also inviting more of that to happen. Right? It's almost like, oh, the universe is saying, like, she's playing with me now. I'm going to up my game, because, if you're going to volley, right, I'm going to hit the ball back. Well, you're going to hit the ball to me. And so I think sometimes that's what the universe is doing with us. In fact, okay, I guess I'm just going on sort of like an extemporaneous stream of spoon consciousness at the moment. Bear with me. I think it's Mike Dooley who said something about, when you're trying to kind of get help from the universe, that all you really need to do is like throw the ball out and let the universe hit it back to you. And that was very reassuring, because I think I had the idea before that I was the one who had to stand there at bat and wait for the universe to throw me something and then try to hit it. And I already knew that I wasn't especially good at that. But when I thought of the universe or God being the one with the bat, I figured for one thing, they probably got a much bigger bat than I do. And they're probably a lot better at hitting the ball than me. So if all I had to do was like toss it up, even just like a real sort of lame, didn't even get anywhere throw, I figured universe could handle it. So that was a relief, and it was part of my growing from everything is a struggle and a hardship and an uphill battle to all I really need to do is show up, right? Stay open, keep my heart open, stay present, show up, and allow unseen things to orchestrate. All right, so I guess that's my spoon preamble for the day. So everybody got a spoon or a knife or, whoa, Danya, did you just do that now?
Did that while you were talking. You
Holy moly! Can you get a little closer here to the camera with that? Knife bender. Way to go.
Whoa.
You know, that frames your face like so.
Oh yeah, it makes me look like.
That's awesome. Look at you go.
I really want to twist it though. I want to make it curly the way you do those spoons.
Yeah. Overachiever, go ahead. So, and awesome, go for it. And I can already, envision you holding it up and showing us that. But what was going on for you? I mean, obviously you were not paying 100% attention to any one thing because I was talking and.
Well, I was just sitting here listening to you talk about the universe and batting the ball and tossing it up and I was just holding my spoon and fooling around with it and then I just bent it. I felt that space, the like where it's just not resisting and you just do it.
Right. Great. So I know, I mean, you bent a knife last time and I know you've bent a spoon before. So I'm wondering, that's at least 3 times that you've actually done it and some practice in between, maybe. Are you finding some familiarity, within yourself about whatever that place is, that groove that you get into?
Well, I've only gotten into it when you're talking. So, I mean, if I ever want to bend anything, I guess I'm just going to have to call you and let you talk.
1-800 Miché, bend your life. Okay, we can work with that. But what I really want, I mean, my goal is that you do get so comfortable and familiar with whatever happens for you when you're listening to me talk, that you can do that on your own and that you can do it at will and that you can also maintain it longer, right? I mean, with the spoon bending, when you find that moment, it usually is a pretty short moment. It's like a little window of opportunity where whatever those pieces for each of us are coming together, right? It's like I'm feeling it, but I'm not really thinking about it because I'm listening to you or I'm talking to you or I'm doing this or something else. And there's some there's some coalescing of presence and desire and yet lack of resistance and lack of clinging to outcome, and then something happens or something is able to happen, right? And so it's that place when it first happens, it's like that, and if you don't bend it right then, you'd like pop yourself right out of that. It's like Abraham Hicks talks about being in the vortex, in the zone, and getting popped out. Like as soon as you think a negative thought or you let somebody's attitude get you or something, you're like out of the vortex. But the thing is, it's really easy to pop back in. We don't know how. I mean, it's not necessarily, it's simple, but it's not necessarily easy, right? So it's something that we need to kind of practice and learn how to feel into. And so that's what I'm hoping in doing these over and over, and offering more than one and encouraging people to come, even though you've already bent a spoon. Like, okay, I'm glad you bent a spoon. Like maybe after you've bent 8 spoons, you're going to learn something about yourself that's going to allow you to bend your knife or your spoon or your fork when I'm not even in the picture at all, because I can't be following all you around. I don't want to, right? I got my own spoons to bend.
But something, what I noticed is I bent this spoon again, this fork, whatever this thing is, I bent this, and I knew I could do it probably because I'd already bent it once. But so it was easy to do it again, but now I'm up against, I bent it again, that way, but I really want to twist it. And I don't think I can do that.
Right.
So every time you do something, there's a new thing that you can't do until you do it.
Right.
So
when we're babies and we're learning to walk, I seriously hope we are not having those conversations. I mean, we can't be, right? Or we would never actually have learned how to walk, because it would have been like, well, I stood up. I stood up twice. But, every time I went to take a step, I fell on my face. Well, obviously I can't do that. We would still be hanging on, to the edge of the couch. So.
What, you mean you're not supposed to do that?
Right. So, so that's part of the work or the play of it, right? Is to keep seeing, what are you saying to yourself now? I mean, really, like 2 weeks ago, if I had said, hey, Danya, can you bend a knife? You would have been like, hell no. And now you can do it. And so now I'm going to say, Danya, can you twist a knife? You're like, hell no. Okay. And then, maybe 10 minutes from now, you're going to do it. And I think, for me, the teaching of the spoon bending is to hold that space of possibility with people, to just introduce the idea of holding a space of possibility for yourself, and rather saying like, well, I can't do it, or there's no way I'm going to, or I'm never going to, whatever the hundreds of ways that we say to ourselves to keep, in the box of the known and not get out into the unknown. Okay, lost the end of that sentence. Yes, to instead of that, to just even insert the word or the idea of wonder. Instead of saying I can't, say I wonder if I can. I wonder how I could. I wonder if it's possible. I wonder if anybody else has ever done it before. Any of those things shift from the contracting, not possibility, to some open kind of searching for what else might be available and might be possible. And the thing is, we don't even have to answer the question. We just have to ask the question. Just asking the question opens the doors of possibility. It's like what I was saying, it's like when you ask the question, it's like tossing that ball out. And I don't have to know how big the bat is and where God or the universe is standing with it, or if they've got, 15 bats, or, I don't have to know what's over there. I just have to say, I don't know, I'm tossing this one out, so I don't know how you're going to twist that knife. I don't even know which direction you're going to go in, or how many times it's going to twist, or if it'll twist today or next week. I wonder, and I'm curious, and I can't wait to hear about it when you do it. So again, that's the underlying sort of foundation for me of why I'm so excited and interested in teaching people spoon, knife, fork bending, because it opens up that whole conversation, and it opens up our neural pathways and awareness, and opens up a perspective to different possibilities that then I hope and encourage you to take anywhere else in your life, whether that's in your personal life, or in how we change and create the world around us. Okay, so I think maybe for other people who have or have not yet bent a spoon, I should maybe get a little more technical about it, and then we can, wax philosophic again. So, all right. So you got a spoon, and if you haven't watched my video about how to choose a spoon, I will just briefly say that hopefully the spoon you're working with has been chosen so that you cannot easily bend it just with your own regular everyday physical strength. So that when we go through this, and hopefully you do bend it, and potentially bend it with ease, even though you're going to want to say to yourself, oh, I just, that must have not been so hard. That must have been a soft spot in the spoon. That hopefully you're checking the spoon enough to see that that's not really true. Mine is not a trick spoon. I'm pretty sure yours is not a trick spoon. And just, become fairly confident that in this moment, you really can't bend the spoon, and then be open and willing to see that in this next moment, you really can. So the spoon feels solid, looks solid. We already figured out we can't just bend it. And at the same time, we have learned from quantum physicists that it's mostly empty space, that it's just a bunch of energy and empty space interacting together, appearing to be solid. And in fact, that's pretty much the truth of us as well. So we have a lot more in common with a spoon than we might normally think. And one of the things that we have in common with the spoon that we don't think about is that we are in agreement with the spoon, that the spoon is going to show up like this, as a stiff, metal, shiny, hard spoon. It's like part of why, maybe all of why it's doing that is because we decided it, we agreed. Somebody initially, shaped it and stamped it out and sold it and whatever. So there was all that whole of that sort of lineage of how this chunk of energy and matter came to be a spoon. And on another level, we are saying, yep, it's a spoon, and here's how spoons behave. Here's how I behave with spoons. And so in the spoon bending, what I'm inviting you to do is to choose a different relationship between you and the spoon, to have a different set of expectations, or maybe a set of no expectations about what this is and about what you're able to do with it, or how to interact with it. So I focus on holding the spoon in my hands. I'm feeling it. I'm aware of feeling it between my fingers. I'm aware of, all that stuff and jabber I was just saying about energy and emptiness and showing up the way I believe and showing up differently, and just letting that sort of like roll around in my head like a bunch of marbles, partly so that I'm not focused on the critical, logical, rational things that I would otherwise be wanting to say to myself, like, really, Miché, like, this is ridiculous. This is a metal spoon, and you are just a person, and your hands are not strong enough, and just as long as I tell myself that, then that is what's true. And if I stop telling myself that, it creates a window for it to not be true. And again, I don't have to say what is true instead. In fact, if I try to say what's true instead, I'm immediately limiting it to something else that I can imagine, instead of allowing it to be open to possibilities I can't begin in this 3D earthbound mentality to encompass or comprehend. All right. I really just chat. I have many thoughts going on. All right. So here we are, hanging with the spoon. It is helpful to me frequently that I am rubbing the spoon. I'm also imagining initially that I'm going for bending it at the narrowest point, because that feels a little reassuring to me, that I'm not right away starting at the hardest thing. But you can start wherever you feel drawn to. But I'm rubbing it, and in rubbing it, I'm sensing it, I'm feeling it, and I'm imagining or pretending that it could move, or I'm pretending almost that I feel it getting a little bit soft. And sometimes I'll even sort of wobble it in my fingers like this, and again, imagine or almost try to trick my physiology into thinking that it's not me wiggling the spoon, but that the spoon itself is actually wiggling. And I'm pretending that this is a wiggly spoon, that this is a spoon that is in relationship with me, and I'm thinking, hey, spoon, how about let's do something different today, and how about we just get you to bend right here easily? How about we form this relationship? Oh, and I never did that before, but I kind of like that. It's like, okay, so now I'm making this up. I'm creating a field. I'm we're coming into coherence together, and me and the spoon's energy are gelling and melding and in communication. So now that I ask the spoon to bend, it can just do that, and it's capable of doing something different with me and for me. And now, so I did that just now but I cannot bend it or unbend it in this moment, because even though I was talking and you couldn't really see what was going on, I could feel that place that's become familiar for me within of it's almost like some column of energy just sort of like snicks into place. Like it's here. And then there's this moment where I'm just like settle in, and then it happens.
Susan bent a spoon.
Yes. Way to go.
Oh, where was...
All right. We don't get to see Susan at the moment, but we trust. I know Susan, and I see you in my mind's eye having bent your spoon. Perhaps photos on Facebook will follow if you choose. Nicely done. Great. Okay. Yeah. So very cool. And did it just, kind of come on? And I mean, there was the moment you did it, and it was just this opening of a moment.
What's she saying? I can't read it.
Yeah, I know. So
what did she say?
I'm sorry. She says so. So now I think it was because it was a skinny spoon. Exactly what I was saying before. And it's our nature. It's our nature. It's our conditioning to say, wait a minute, that can't be real. Try to unbend it now and see, is that possible? Is it anywhere, and even if you can move it, is it anywhere near as easy for you to unbend it as in that moment it was easy for you to bend it? Right.
Nope.
Yeah. I've had spoons that I've bent where I've even beyond this. And then I wanted to go take it to a friend of mine and just say, like, hey, unbend it. And I expected her to just unbend it because I was ready to be proven wrong. That even though I did all of this to it, I just, same thing. It was skinny. It was weak. It was soft. It was, it was something. Which is, I guess, how I went from being someone who bent one spoon to somebody who has bent several dozen spoons. Because part of it is I keep having to kind of check my own disbelief, right? I mean, I'm teaching and I've done it, and still there's a part of me that's like, well, are you sure that wasn't just really a soft spoon? And so go to Goodwill, get a bunch of spoons, bend as many spoons as you need to bend. When you talked about it, wiggly. Yeah. So Ruth says, it was when you talked about having a wiggly spoon. I had that before, feeling that the spoon was wiggling and soft. All right. So there's so many ways for us to make up, imagine, bring in some little piece that helps us. It's not even so much that you made it wiggly. It's that in playing with the idea of it being wiggly, you made it not hard, not stiff. So it's like this is like creative visualization. Any imagery that makes sense to you, anything that, any ways that you feel capable or strong, or cartoon superhero you used to watch as a kid and you want to like relate and pretend that you're embodying that. It's like whatever our creative mind, whatever it requires, play with it, bring it in, let it be, and then see what you're capable of doing with that. And it's like sometimes when I've been teaching people about hearing their inner voice, their inner guidance, or picking up on psychic stuff. So a lot of times the same thing, people are thinking, I just made that up. Like somebody comes to me and they want like a mediumship reading or something, and I say, you know, okay, so I feel like I got somebody, you know, who's wearing like a yellow dress with pink flowers. And then I want to say, like, I just made that up. It's like, well, okay, maybe I did make that up, but why? Of all the million, bazillion, gazillion things that I could make up in this moment, why that one? And that imagination, that place that we make up stuff, is often the place of a whole different level of truth and of understanding and of capacity and ability. And if we only keep sticking to like what is right in front of us and what we can see and feel and touch, then we're limited to what we know how to feel and see and touch, you know. And I believe that we even are capable, and we have the apparatus to see and feel and touch on levels that we at this point have no comprehension of. And so even just limiting, you know, I only believe what I see. Well, what if we're only using like 10% of the capacity of our eyes? Because nobody ever taught us how to make those neural connections. You know, what if when you shake somebody's hand, you can really pick up the, I don't know, biochemicals that really do tell you what the other person's feeling. And so it's not even like made up, but we don't know how we're doing that because we don't know how to track that. I mean, I just think there's so much that we're capable of in very like literal ways, but we don't know, right? It's like kind of a computer geek. I use Photoshop to do things like, you know, crop pictures and change the shadow and the light. Photoshop is rocket science. And I don't know how to do any of that. Go, Ruth.
Well, it's not.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me why it doesn't count. Was the spoon shaped like that when you started?
No.
No. It's so hard to believe ourselves. But you did it. You know, and you may want to do it more. You may want to do it more bent. You may, you know, Danya wants to twist her knife. You know, and I think if we weren't...
I'm delighted. I'm absolutely delighted with it.
Great.
No.
Awesome. And I think it's in our nature to want to explore and grow and do more. And can we do that without discounting what we did, right? So you're delighted. Be delighted, stay delighted. And then when someday, you know, you pick it up and you can do that, be delighted with that too.
Wow.
Yeah. Lorna, how's it going? Anything that you want to comment on or question, or you could, you know, type in a chat box there too, or not. Sorry, no pressure. You know, just.
What did she?
I'm gonna hand my bent spoon over to my computer. Yeah, hang it. Yes, yeah. I keep one in the little console thing in my car. You know, I just like to. Were you showing us something, Danya?
Oh, I was figuring out where to hang my knife.
Oh, yeah. Right? I mean, to me, that's one of the things that I love about it being a spoon. It doesn't cost a lot. You don't have to spend $500 to get the spoon that you get to play with, right? You just can, you know, I mean, most of my spoons, you know, I spend like 50 cents on or $1 or whatever. So for $1, I get a spoon, I get to bend it, and then I have something that's a constant available reminder, you know, and I'll go back. I just dropped that one, but you know, so I'm surrounded by spoons here that I bent. So I did this one. I'm like, wow. I'm like, oh no, it must have been pretty soft, you know. So I'll go back and I will try to unbend my spoon, and I can't, you know. And every now and then I have to check, and I have to make sure. And you know, what if some of the challenges in our lives are like that? Like we figure something out, we grow through something, we think we nailed it. And then we're not so sure. You know, it's like, right? And so then our mind, our soul, whatever, you know, kind of is bringing up a similar experience that we get to sort of check ourselves against, right? And, you know, some people want to look at it like I'm being tested, you know, like in a bet, like I'm being punished, right? I'm being punished because this is coming up again. What if some of these things, some of these patterns, some of these challenges come up again so that we can show ourselves how much easier it is for us to deal with them now than before?
I can still use mine like a ladle.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so as we really allow and let in this possibility of what we just did and what we just saw each other do, can we keep that openness of possibility in other areas in our life? You know, and that's been the challenge and the path of growth that I've been really trying to milk, you know, for myself, is that when I find myself feeling like something is too hard or too complicated or too emotionally triggering, or, you know, whatever it is, it just, you know, I'm feeling resistant, I'm feeling small against whatever the task is. Really, I literally refer back to my spoons, you know, and I think, okay, well, how did I do that? Well, first thing is I stopped telling myself how hard it was. And I stopped telling myself that it was impossible, and got relaxed and just didn't allow myself to run the litany of, you know, what I haven't been able to do or how it's been hard before, you know, any, just those. The more I listen to myself and hear the things that I say, the more I know sort of what to watch out for, right? And I don't argue with it. I don't do a rebuttal with it. I don't disagree with it. I don't any of that. You know, in the moment that I'm trying to create something else, I can look at it some other time. I can do, you know, EFT tapping. I can do hypnotherapy. I can do energy work. I mean, there's all sorts of things, you know, if you want to look deeper, delve deeper, whatever. And in this very present moment, right now, is where our ability and our power is. And if we can clear the way to let that come in and come forth, a whole new level of capacity is available to us if and when we stop telling ourselves and telling each other that it's not. You know, I mean, I'm also careful about who I share things with, especially when I'm just, you know, creating something. It's new. I'm trying some new mindset, or I'm building a new page on my website, because some people, many people, are still busy looking at the difficulties and the hardships, you know, and even if they were like, oh, I really like that, and they tell you that's so impossible and I can't ever do that, and then, you know, and then this happens, and it's like it's like your capacity and the window of possibilities, it's like shut that, and there's nowhere to go. So I make a point to share what I want to grow in with people who are going to stand with me and really help me see the possibilities, or see that there are possibilities, you know, we're going to be like, way to go, Miché, you know, like, who are Sonia Choquette, who's a teacher and a psychic. I once heard her talking about the concept of that we all need someone who's got believing eyes. And so that's the opposite of the people who are going to tell you how hard everything is, or, you know, what a struggle it is. Somebody who's going to say, you know, wow, you want to twist your knife? I can't wait to be the first one to congratulate you. You know, and I hold that with you as a possibility. I hold out with you for you that I believe you are this limitless, capable, all possibility being who can do that. And I'm also not going to say, oh, you know, don't worry, you'll do it. It's like, because that's, you know, that's just sort of, that's empty. right? That's just me trying to make you feel better. My job is not to make you feel better. My job, the job that I take on for myself is to see you as someone capable and divine and limitless, and to just help you hold open that door, that window, right? To hold that field of possibilities and say, I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know when you're going to do it, but I hold with you the possibility for you to do that. And I can already imagine myself applauding you the way I can imagine myself bending the spoon, and then I bend it. Right, I had been talking a really lot. I'm thinking maybe somebody else might want to say something.
I'll say something. You know, a little while ago you were talking about, like, did I make this up? Or maybe there's different parts of our minds that we don't use and stuff. And you reminded me of this woman who was an animal communicator. And I heard her talk on the radio, and she was explaining how she did it. And she says, you use the same part of your mind that you use for daydreaming.
Okay.
And it's like, well, yeah, everybody knows how to daydream. Now they try to beat it out of us, but we all know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started practicing with my dogs, and I just sit with them and sort of daydream, you know, just let my mind wander. And then I'd say, well, what if, you know, Princess wanted to say something to me? And after a while, I actually did get conversations from them. I mean, it was always, we want to go out and run, but it was very, very clear that it was coming from them.
Mm-hmm.
But it started when I went to the part of my mind where I daydream.
Nice.
So very
Love it, yeah.
part of our minds.
Yeah,
Right?
that makes sense, and it's a place of allowing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, Ruth, you want to show that spoon again? That just keeps bending more.
Yeah, when you just started, just inspired me that bit further. So I have used a lot of force, so now I am starting to doubt. But it is an incredibly thick spoon. I've realised it's a designer spoon as well. I'm like, oh my God.
And now it could be worth even more because it's...
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I was just listening to that because I've been thinking about communicating with animals. So I was so absorbed in thinking about, I could use that to communicate with animals. So I was really thinking about it. And as I was doing it, I was just going...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah, that bit about the animal communicating reminds me too. I don't remember who I heard it from. No doubt it was an animal communicator. Talking about, like, this one was simple, and I was able to kind of get through my disbelief meter that sometimes I'll be sitting around and I'll suddenly wonder, if my cat has water. And it's like, I want to think that it's because suddenly I remembered or wondered or worried that my cat doesn't have water, But the truth is because, like, in the other room, the cat was looking at her water dish thinking, like, hey, can I get some water? Right? I mean, actually, I had a parrot for a number of years, and it was with her that I really sort of got that the most. It'd be, I'd be like walking around somewhere, and I'd be like, oh, did I put any new fresh water out for Rose? And I'd, walk across the house, and she'd be, kind of standing at her water dish, like, look at it. It's like, it wasn't me. She was telling me, but we receive things. We don't realize we're receiving it. And then when we notice it, we think it's ours. And that works in those helpful ways. It also works in unhelpful ways. How many times are we walking around and we're in a mood or having some bad feelings, and we notice it in our own mind and in our own energy, and we think it's ours, but it's not. So one of the things that I've learned to do is to ask myself, especially when I'm feeling like when I'm having a strong thought or feeling, that doesn't quite fit or something, is I'll say, who does this belong to? And again, you don't even really need the answer, but sometimes just asking the question shifts some awareness. And I think we could also use it in the other way of like, there you are daydreaming and some scenario or some thought or feeling comes to mind, and we think it's our own imagination and daydreaming. And I guess we could say, who does this belong to? And the answer might come, oh, Fido or Fluffy or, I mean, right? Who does this belong to? And the cat's like, mine.
I can't read it. It's too small.
Okay, thank you. Susan says, Miché, I have to go. Thanks for this. And this being holding space so authentically and full of possibility. Talk soon. Love the conversation about animal communication and the larger field. Very stimulating. Love you, Susan. Talk to you soon. Thanks for being here.
Susan.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Something else just happened? I don't know. Bio. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
I'm so happy with this. I'm so happy.
That's great. And so that's your first one, yeah?
Yeah, the thing is, I actually looked at the replay of maybe your first or your second webinar, and I tried it. What's crazy about it is that when I do it, I mean, it's almost in my mind's eye or wherever, it's like wobbling all over the place. It's like it's already done. It's so soft. Everything's going on. It feels so soft. And yet there was something in me that just, for some reason, couldn't do it. I can't pinpoint it exactly. I even had Metatron here kind of helping me, but it wasn't happening. And then, well, it's history. I can look at the replay to see when it was. But I did feel maybe I kind of, but of course that's impossible it's not physically possible. Just, it wouldn't be physically possible because this is a really thick spoon.
Right.
So, but it's almost like in an animation. It's like the spoon's going woo, 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 but it's not in another dimension.
Yeah.
But this dimension, it's not happening, but it's happened.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And so what is possible for us in some other dimension, and how do we tap that in, and I don't know, learn to cross dimensions, right? To be here now with more of what's possible. And one of these days, I think you're going to get on one of these calls and you're going to wave your wiggly spoon at us and we're going to see it. I mean, why not?
Like in the Matrix, when the boy just has a spoon going woo, 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 it's right. Like all flop.
Yeah. And it basically says there is no spoon, Yeah. Very cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just, I love how tangible and how easy to go back to the spoon bending is, right? Because every time I start to doubt, I just look at the spoon again. Or if I lost that spoon, I'll try another spoon and bend another spoon. Whereas I think we're doing this sort of thing and we're capable of doing this sort of thing on so many other levels, in shifting relationships and finding a parking space and calling in income and healing things in our bodies and shifting our blood pressure, all of this stuff. And I think it's no less real, or it is as real. And it's also harder for us to see or to track, to be able to say, oh, okay. I mean, I've done this with parking spaces, where I've been in some busy area and I'm late and I want to just get a spot right where I want to go. And I will just sort of see it or ask for it. And then I turn the corner and somebody's pulling out, and how many times can you do that and say, oh, nice coincidence, or some other time where you got to say like, okay, there's something to this. There's some, somehow connect A and B, and still you can't really see the track of that, but this you can see. And now you can even see it on the replay.
Yeah. It's weird. I think of all the other things, all the other things you were talking about are absolutely possible to me. So it's not, but this was the hardest. It's like so funny, but I don't doubt any of the other stuff, It's just like I found this the most challenging in the physical.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Well, and it's the most, it's one of the places where we also have the most proof of it being a different way, right? I mean, however old you are, however many years you've been on this planet with spoons, they have not been doing this, right? I mean, it's like Veronica and Elohim talk about shifting things, and they talk about the tenacity of certain objects, right? I mean, you think of like a rock or a boulder, it's been like that, and we've always known that rocks are hard and solid and they don't move and, all that kind of stuff. There's this huge field of energy and knowledge around that, right? There's how many billion people in our past have used the spoon, and it has never done this, So in that sense, we're kind of going up against something really big, even though it's so mundane as a spoon.
Yeah.
So, and
now I've got to bend another one, and I'm going to put a bigger intention in it. It's like,
right,
for everything that's gone before.
Right, and for me too, it's the spoon thing is become for me. It's knowing. I mean, yes, I still question. Was I really able to do that? With my strength, and then I can come back and I can confirm, no, I couldn't. So even though I question it pretty much every day I wake up and there's the spoon, and it's being the bent self that I managed, And so even though I believe this other stuff, I don't know it. I don't have with my 3D sensory apparatus, I guess, I don't have that same level of knowing, of being able to really hold on to it and experience it in that way. And so for me, I'm using it like as a bridge, right? I'm using like, well, if I can do this, therefore, there's other stuff that I also believe I can do, and I believe other people do, but I can't necessarily feel. But if I can do this and feel it, then I believe and I'm trusting that I can also do that, even if I can't see it or feel it in the same way. So it's, to me, it's, it's that, it's a tool for me.
Yeah. It's cool. It's fun. It's
great. And so I think we could probably, start winding this up. And I just want to let you and whoever else is seeing this later know that beyond Spoonbending, I am also offering group coaching to really take this to the next level and to really look at how to apply this in your own life, not to spoons, but to, how you wake up, how you ask for a raise at work, how you shift your relationship, how you manage your moods in a day, and just, anything, all the ways that we create to just become really aware and intentional creators in our lives. And this is just sort of the jumping off point. So I've got a 6-week online coaching program that's coming up soon. Depends when I get enough people together to start it, but I'm hoping in the next week or two I'll begin. And also have private one-on-one coaching available with me. I've got a 1-month package and then a 3-month package. And you could see those on the spoonbenderscafe.com website. I'm not going to go into all of the details now. I'll let you read about it. And if you have any questions, you can email me, call me, whatever, and I'd be happy to talk about it with you. If you want to take this, and take your spoon bending a quantum leap and just be bending your life and bending your heart in, positive, expansive ways, I'd be happy to work with you.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, thanks. How's it going there, Danya?
Yeah, she twisted it.
I haven't twisted it yet, but I did bend it a little more.
Uh-huh.
Well, I have a feeling by the time I see you the next time, I will have twisted this spoon, this knife, or whatever the heck this thing
Or
is.
you may have stretched it into being a spoon. I don't know.
That could happen. I sure feel like it.
Yeah. Well, what I really appreciate about the sharing from both of you and Susan a little bit there too is doing it and having, questioning yourself or whatever, but I'm really not hearing so much of that judgment, that so many of us, that we've been trained into, and so kudos to you on having done, obviously enough of your own work and acceptance that you can just be like, okay, well, that didn't happen yet, and I'm still seeing this, and I'm still imagining that, and rather than it didn't happen, that must mean I suck and I can't do it, and, we're just so conditioned normally to go that route instead, and so thank you for, for bringing that openness and upbeat perspective.
Well, even
like Donya was straight. Sorry, Donya.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say you were straight into it. You were just like sitting really calmly and she went, whoop! It was so cool.
Well, I think even bending a knife a little bit is exciting. So, I can't beat myself up too much for not being able to do the twisty, curly things like Miché can do, because, she's been at this a while.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Miché. It's been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant for holding that space for us. And I couldn't believe as well how much you can talk around it. I think I was just so fascinated by that. I just didn't even care if I bent the spoon. That was what was happening before. I was like, wow, what's she saying now?
I can go on, yeah. Yeah, I can go on, and I see it as connected to all this other stuff. So yeah, it's not just the spoon, it's like the world in the spoon. Well, thank you for humoring me and letting me humor you, and great. All right, any last anything, or we could sign off for this round?
I want to know who painted those flowers.
Oh, they're photographs. They're my mom's photography.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah, and let's see, there's a couple. Where is he? There's another one.
So talented.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm staying at her house right now, and her whole house is this awesome gallery of photography that she's done, and then just other. She's pretty creative and has created quite a nest here. But
certainly provides something lovely to look at while we're sitting here trying to bend our spoon.
Yep. Maybe, I don't know if I'll be doing another one before I leave here, but if I do, I'll try to get a different view so you can just, keep getting the next picture. Actually, if you go to my Facebook page, I started a blog from my mom that I'm sort of the curator of, and it's mostly got some little bits of prose and poetry and her photography. So you can see it. It's called My Mother's Blog. And right. you can see some of her photos there. So, all right. Well, thank you all so much. It was fun for me. Looked like it was fun for you, and any of you now and any of you later, I'd be happy to see photos or comments about what this was like for you. I've got a Facebook group called Spoonbenders Cafe, and you could just join in and share in any of this discussion or share any other like crazy wild things happening in the world that you want to tell us about. And then my Facebook business page is also called Spoonbenders Cafe. So you can look me up there. And thanks. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sweet. Thanks.
Bye. Bye, Donya.
Bye.